has long through its public accepted this that no need face unemployment.
Now, what is democratic socialism? Democratic socialists believe that both the economy and society should be run together to meet public needs, not to make profits for a few. To achieve a more just society, many structures of our government and economy must be radically transformed through greater economic and social democracy so that ordinary Americans can participate in the many decisions that affect our lives. Democracy and socialism go hand in hand. All over the world, wherever the idea of democracy has taken root, the vision of socialism has taken root in places other than in the United States. Doesn't socialism mean that the government will own and run everything? Democratic socialists do not want to create an all-powerful government bureaucracy. But we do not want big corporate bureaucracies to control our society either. Rather, we believe that social and economic decisions should be made by those whom they most affect. Today, corporate executives, who answer only to themselves and a few wealthy stockholders, make basic economic decisions affecting millions of people. Resources are used to make money for capitalists rather than to meet human needs. We believe that the workers and consumers who are affected by economic institutions should own and control them. Social ownership could take many forms, such as worker-owned cooperatives or publicly owned enterprises managed by workers and consumer representatives. Democratic socialists favor as much decentralization as possible. While the large concentrations of capital in industries such as energy and steel may necessitate some form of state ownership, many consumer goods industries might be best run as cooperatives. Democratic socialists have long rejected the belief that the whole economy should be centrally planned. While we believe that democratic planning can shape major social investments like mass transit, housing, and energy, market mechanisms are needed to determine the demand for many consumer goods.
At a moment there.
The topic of decentralization. First one is the dispersion or distribution of functions and powers. Specifically, the delegation of power from a central authority to regional and local authorities. The second is the redistribution of population and industry from urban centers to outlying areas. Decentralization or decentralization, see spelling differences, is the process of dispersing decision-making governance closer to the people or citizen. It includes the dispersal of administration or governance in sectors or areas like management science, political science, education, sociology, and healthcare. Decentralization is also possible in the dispersal of population and employment. Law, science, and technological advancements lead to highly decentralized human endeavours. A central theme in decentralization is the difference between a hierarchy based on authority, two players in an unequal power relationship, an interface, a lateral relationship between two players of roughly equal power. The more decentralized a system is, the more it relies on lateral relationships, and the less it can rely on command or force. In most branches of engineering and economics, decentralization is narrowly defined as the study of markets and interfaces between parts of a system. This is most highly developed as general systems theory and neoclassical political economy. John Bates Clark stated, "It is the purpose of this work to show that the distribution of income to society is controlled by a natural law, and that this law, if it worked without friction, would give to every agent of production the amount of wealth which that agent creates." Neoclassical economic theory, which is also associated with neoliberal political policies, is grounded in the rejection of the Marxian notion of exploitation and the promotion of the idea that the distribution of social resources produced by market exchanges is innately fair and just when it is allowed to work without friction. Although neoclassical theory dominates the economics discipline, it is actually a psychological theory. At the core of the theory is a specific reductionist theory of human decision-making and rationality that is then applied to economic and other phenomena. All human decision-making is assumed to be driven by the pursuit of individual pleasure/happiness. This pleasure is defined within the theory as utility. Thus, the economic man homo economicus is a utility maximizer. Market exchanges are defined as simple trades between equally powerless economic men trying to maximize their individual pleasure. The wage-labor relationship is such a market exchange. The wage is defined as equal to the value of the contribution of workers to the overall value of the commodity produced, such that workers are not cheated out of any surplus value, as defined within Marxian theory. Thus, neoclassical theory provides a clear alternative to the Marxian contention that workers are exploited by being cheated out of value that should rightly belong to them.
We just ain't that deep.
What is it that takes place in the exchange between the capitalist and the wage laborer? The laborer receives means of subsistence in exchange for his labor power. The capitalist receives, in exchange for his means of subsistence, labor, the productive activity of the laborer, the creative force by which the worker not only replaces what he consumes, but also gives to the accumulated labor a greater value than it previously possessed. The laborer gets from the capitalist a portion of the existing means of subsistence. For what purpose do these means of subsistence serve him? For immediate consumption. But as soon as I consume means of subsistence, they are irrevocably lost to me unless I employ the time during which these means sustain my life in producing new means of subsistence. They are irrevocably lost to me unless I employ the time during which these means sustain my life in producing new means of subsistence, in creating by my labor new values in place of the values lost in consumption. But it is just this noble reproductive power that the laborer surrenders to the capitalist in exchange for means of subsistence received. Consequently, he has lost it for himself. Another word about neoclassical economic theory. Neoclassical economic theory dominates the teaching and practice of economics in the United States and in many other countries as well. It provides an analytical framework from which to argue in favor of the existing distribution of wealth. Wealth is the result of the decisions that individuals make, not the result of processes of coercion, theft, colonization, etc. in neoclassical theory. Those who become wealthy do so by hard work and frugality, while those who become poor do so by profligacy and laziness. Nevertheless, the best of all possible worlds, Pareto optimality, can only come about by unfettered market exchanges, allowing individual decision-making to occur without governmental interference. Socialism is not an evil thing. You can have democracy and socialism together. They can coexist as one. They can form one body and unite the country if people will let it. This has been some views that some of you might agree with. However, some of you or all of you may think that this guy Dean James Littlehaven is full of shit. Hey, that's why we have the best fucking country in the world. Anyway, I just thought that this would be a rather interesting and different approach to looking at a view that really isn't at all scary. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I appreciate very much. God bless you all, and God bless YouTube.